Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of the Low Oxalate Kitchen podcast, where the goal is to make a low oxalate diet easier for those of us who have to follow it. My name is Vincent Salento. I'm the creator of Low Oxalate Kitchen, and for this episode I had the pleasure of speaking with Alexandra Cleanthous. Alex is originally from the island of Cyprus. She's a chef living and working in Melbourne, Australia, and she's the creator of a blog called Food and Thoughts, which is a space dedicated to simple recipes, food history, and some of Alex's random thoughts. When she's not cooking, Alex enjoys doing yoga to find some stillness outside of the noisy kitchen environment. She can also be found scrolling through Pinterest for interior design inspiration, or just hanging out, relaxing, and watching Friends. In this episode, we chat a little bit about her experiences becoming a chef, and then Alex walks us through her processes for infusing oils and also for pickling your own vegetables. And then she shares one of her own recipes with us, adding a little extra flavor to a simple and delicious meal. You can find Alex on Instagram at Alexandra_Cleanthous. It's CLEANTHOUS. Or on her blog, alexandracleanthous.com. Let me know what you think of the episode on Instagram or Facebook. You can send me an email also if you'd like. It's lowoxalatekitchen@gmail.com. If you want to leave a review in whatever app you're listening, that would be awesome. And I hope you enjoy. Here we go. Alex, welcome to the show.
Hi, Vincent. Nice to meet you. Nice to join you.
Yes, nice to meet you and join you as well. So as you know, the podcast it's basically a resource for people to learn about, a low oxalate diet, but I also love traveling and learning about different places and foods. So I'm kind of just using it for that too, kind of for myself. So I wanted to start at the beginning. I know you were born in Cyprus, and I'm just curious what it was like growing up there and maybe how that sort of influenced, your career or how you cook or anything like that.
Well, Cyprus is a small island in the Mediterranean, so we have no neighbors. We have Greece and Turkey right next to us, so it's a mix of civilizations. It was an easy life growing up in Cyprus, big family, exactly the Greek family you think of. That's because it was too small. I just want to take it out and see the world, pretty much. And cooking runs into my family. My grandpa had a restaurant. My grandma used to cook a lot. And I always had a love for food. But being a chef is not very acceptable in Cyprus. So I had to follow a more traditional career at first. So I studied political science and history in Greece. I did my master's in France, and then the crisis hit in 2009. And instead of looking for a job, I applied for culinary school. And I went cooking in France for 3 years, which was it was the best decision I've ever made up until now. So that's good.
Yeah. All right. What was the was there like a favorite meal you remember your grandma making for you?
Yeah, she made so many. She cooked so well. But one of her best one was, it's like a pasta bake, like a lasagna, but we use thick spaghetti with a hole. And it's layered with the mince and pasta, and then finish it with a bechamel sauce. And it's just always so perfect, very well seasoned, always the same. And that's just her signature dish, I think.
Mm-hmm. Sounds delicious. I love bechamel sauce. I have absolutely no idea how it's made.
Flour, milk, and butter. Just think good things.
Yeah. It sounds easy, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to take a crack at it one day.
Oh, yeah. It's easy. It's easy and it's really good.
Cool. You said it was it's not acceptable to be a chef in Cyprus, so that's why you left?
Well, it wasn't. You usually you went to cooking if you were a bad student. That was the mentality back then, especially which was when I finished school, 2004. But things slowly changed during the years. So now I think it's more acceptable to be a chef, and it's more a job than pretty much instead of ending up there because you were not good at school. It's
Right.
it's
Okay.
in better now. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So what was it like going to school in Greece? Is there? I assume it was. Actually, you said it's kind of similar to what it was like in Cyprus, right? Like the Greek kind of.
Yeah. The Greek culture, Greeks,
Yeah, Greek
crazy
culture,
people. But you have to love them. I spent
Yeah, the fun kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I spent 4 years in Athens. I went to university there. Yeah, very intense. They, we love food. We love going out. There's no time limits. Whatever time it is, it's fine. You can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
A very adorable chaos. We can say. Really, the very good years in Athens. Very good years. And then from there to go in France and do my master's, it was completely different.
Yeah, a lot more like structured, I guess, or
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Different cultures, different points of view. All good,
Yeah.
of course, yeah.
Do you remember like the first time that you noticed that it was going to be much different once you got to France? Did you know before you went, or were you kind of just hit with it when you got there?
Oh, I knew before I went because I received an email with my timetable for the year, where you never get that in Athens, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so before I even went there, I received an email from my school saying this is going to be your timetable for the year.
Yep.
And I was like, whoa, that's far ahead for
Yeah.
a year.
They really want to let you know what you're getting into.
Absolutely, yeah. Where in
Wow.
Athens, you just pretty much go and hope for the best.
Right. And then you stayed in France for a little while after school?
Yeah, so I stayed in France for maybe a year and a half to finish my dissertation for my degree, and that's when I realized I wanted to seriously go into cooking. So I tried and push a little bit longer and stay a little bit longer, and I applied for my culinary school, which I got accepted. And then I had to go back to Cyprus for a year to work and put some money on the side, and then go back to France and actually study cooking. And convince my parents as well that it's a good thing to do.
Yeah. How did they take the news?
Not great,
No?
Like I don't think they believed it was true. It was more, okay, so what's this now? But then I said, I'm going. And they said, no, you're not. So that's why I had to go back to Cyprus for a year. And then I said, I'm going. And they were very supportive after that, though. Very supportive.
Yeah. That's good. So how long is culinary school in France?
So the school that I did was 3 years with 2 internships in between. One for the first year and one it's after you finish, pretty much, to validate your degree.
Right.
Very intense, because usually you start cooking when you are 15. It's usually an apprenticeship program, but this is more like a university kind of thing. So you have to catch up with everyone in just 3 years. So it's pretty intense, a lot of work, a lot of study, waking up early, having very short deadlines for projects. Very intense, but very, very valuable in what we learn. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was the internship like? Did they just throw you into a restaurant and hope for the best, or how did that go?
At the first year, it's chosen by the school. I think things have changed now, but back then, yeah, the school chose the internship for you for the first year. It's 4 months. I was lucky. I went to Paris for 4 months.
Okay.
In a small restaurant, which I've learned a lot because I was working very closely to the chef. and he taught me everything. But it's hard. Like some people have really tough internships. Oh, same as me actually. I was sent home one day because I wasn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it can be very intense. And then the last one after you finish school, it's you choose where you want to go, and you can go anywhere in the world. I chose to stay in France and go to Bordeaux and do a Michelin star restaurant, which was really good experience as well. I didn't want to travel at the stage. I wanted to have solid bases and then go outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's probably no shortage of like really good places to do the internship in France.
You can go everywhere. Yeah, there's everywhere. Star restaurants or with very good reputation with great chefs.
What was the like the biggest thing you learned, or the biggest difference maybe between the first place that you interned at and then the Michelin star place?
I'll say that the Michelin star restaurant was there was no teamwork. It was each and everyone for itself, and that was very hard because at my first internship we were a small team of 3-4 people, and we argued together. We were happy together, and then you go in this more structured restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard to fit in as well, especially with a male dominant kitchen.
Right. Huh. Do they have a lot of people from outside of France, or is it mostly people from within the country?
Actually, no. I was the only foreigner, I must say.
Huh.
Yeah. Only foreigner and a woman, so that was it.
Wow. Did you speak French at the time?
Yeah. I spoke. Because I studied French since I was in Cyprus in school,
Okay.
and then when I did my master's. That's where I actually learned French better, and then it was easier from then. Yeah, it was just easy to talk with people and write.
Yeah, I've worked in restaurants for a really long time. I was surprised to hear you say that it's less of a teamwork kind of style in the Michelin star place. I feel like because it's so, so high level, like they would have to kind of come together and work as a team.
Exactly. Well, that's the whole debate the last couple of years, because it's a tough environment, especially very high fine dining restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I haven't returned back to those type of restaurants, because it's hard to find a good team or a team that stays together and we all work together to get something good done.
Yeah.
It depends, I guess, from the chef that leads the kitchen to the people who are part of the team.
Right. Yeah, the best places I've worked at were the small family owned kind of places.
Yeah, exactly. Even here in Australia, because I'm in Australia now, the team I work with for the last 4 years, we were very close, very, it's we are all together in this. It's not everyone on its own, and that's very important to feel the support of a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Especially if you're going to be there I'm sure that's it's the same for people in other professions too. Like, if you walk in the door for work and you're going to be spending most of your day with these people, mm-hmm. like you'd want to feel like you're part of the team, and that you have a good crew around you.
Exactly, and that the point is to have a happy client. So if we do this all together, I mean, it's gonna be better. That's my point of view.
Yeah. Yeah, I never understood why people were so sassy sometimes in restaurants and in the kitchen. Like, people are coming to the restaurant to eat and drink, and it's so easy to make them happy. All you have to do is give them food and drinks, and it's not rocket science,
Exactly. It's not a competition. Yeah.
Right. It's not a competition, and it's not like you're selling or trying to sell something to somebody that they don't want,
Mm-hmm.
People are coming to have a good time and hang out, and it just seems like it would be better at all times just to relax and
Enjoy
work together
the time,
and get the job done. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, yeah. I agree with you as well, yeah.
Yeah. So you have a bunch of good articles on your blog. It's called Food and Thoughts. So there's different recipes, a couple different cooking techniques that you have, your thoughts on all kinds of stuff. There's a couple of articles that I wanted to talk to you about that I think would be helpful for people on a low oxalate diet. Mm-hmm. And the first one is about infusing oils.
Yep.
So this is awesome because of the limitations that the diet has. It goes a long way, like, to have a little bit of extra flavor or complexity if you can add that, and infused oils are a great way to do that. Mm-hmm. So walk us through the process. How does it work?
So infusing oils, yeah, it's pretty easy, and people think it can be very complicated, where actually it's something you can do with not a lot of money, and you don't have to use high quality oil. So we have two ways of infusing oil. One is the cold infused method, and the other one is the heated infused method. So if you chose the cold method, you just grab your oil, and you can add your garlic, your chili, herbs, and you just leave it there in your cupboard, and it just infuses over time. Maybe I should mention what oils it's suitable for this. You can use from canola oil to grapeseed oil, vegetable oil, and also you can use the olive oil. Olive oil is best for the cold infused method because once it's heated, the olive oil, it just kind of change its quality. So it's good to have a nice garlic infused olive oil to drizzle in a salad or in a pizza, or a herb oil for the same thing pretty much. Mm-hmm. That's a really good way of using olive oil. And then you have the hot method. So when you bring your oil up to a certain temperature, the temperature is, you're obviously not having a thermometer at home, but it's just to warm it up. You don't want to fry anything, you just want to heat it up, and then you add your herbs, and you just let it cool down like this. Then you can put it in a bottle with the herbs of your choice, and just let it infuse a little bit longer.
Cool. Do you leave the heat on at all for, like, you warm up the oil and then you add the herbs? Do you leave the heat on for a little bit, or do you just turn it off as soon as you put the herbs in?
If I'm using herbs, I usually turn it off because herbs can be very fragile on the heat. If I use something like a spice, like maybe ginger or lemongrass, I might let it warm slightly longer, just so it cooks it a little bit longer maybe, and then your flavors are more easily extracted.
Gotcha. Cool. Can you use avocado oil too? Would that be a good oil to use, or no?
Yeah, absolutely. Avocado oil, yeah, really good. Same as a grapeseed or a canola oil. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool.
I'm not sure. You can also find some fancy oils like hazelnut oil, but I'm not sure about the nuts if it's.
Yeah. Oh, the oils are okay actually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you find a good hazelnut oil, I wouldn't suggest of infusing because it can be a bit expensive.
Right.
So I would just leave it like that. But if it's like maybe a cheaper oil, you just give it a new life by infusing something to it.
Yeah. Cool. Do you use you said you put some chilies in sometimes. Do you use like dried ones or fresh?
So I usually use dry ones because their flavor are more concentrated as well, and they're already dried, so they will last longer. But the chilies, you can use it either with heating the oil or just leave it in cold. It's just gonna take longer if it's a cold oil.
Do they get like super spicy if you leave the chilies in there for a while?
That depends on the oil you are using, the chili you are using.
Okay.
Yeah. So it won't go. Obviously, if it's a mild chili, it won't go overly spicy. But if it's a hot or chili, yeah, it can be tricky.
Yeah.
I would suggest for a liter maybe use 2 mild chilies if you are not very spicy, and then go from there.
Do the infused oils spoil at some point? Like the ingredients in the oils, do they will they spoil, or how long do they last? I guess is a better way to ask.
They will last for a long time. I'll say at least 6 months. Again, it's not something you do in high quantities. You're gonna do a liter, maybe 700 ml. But because the oil preserves the flavor, and the herbs that you're putting inside, it won't spoil unless you're doing like a different, like I did the prawn oil. That at some point it will spoil, because you're using fresh product.
For which kind?
The prawn oil. If you see,
yeah.
Like that one, it has a certain amount of life, maybe 3 months, I'll say.
Okay.
In the fridge.
And you leave the prawns in there for that long, for 3 months, and it's okay?
The prawn oil is a bit different because you're using obviously fresh produce. I usually heat it up and then I strain it, so there's nothing in there, and it's just the oil, which is packed with flavor. Yeah. And then just leave it in the fridge. It will last longer.
Right. Yeah, that one I would leave in the fridge. Do you have to do that for the other ones too?
The other ones, no. Just because of what you're using, which is pretty much dry and herbs, they last. In your cupboard, it will be perfect.
Awesome. Do you have a go-to combination of herbs that you use, or a certain dish that you always add one of your infused oils to?
Yeah, spring onion oil. That's my go-to. And also, I had a lemon verbena oil at some point, which is a herb. It's great with cheese, with salads. It just goes with everything pretty much. And that's my favorite one, the lemon verbena oil.
Yeah, that sounds like it would just go with everything.
Yeah, it's so light and it has a bit of citrusy taste to it. It's very fragrant. Oh, it's really good. Yeah, and it goes with everything.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research and reading and trying to learn how to cook more. And one of the things that I read was that if you make something and it's like you taste it and it's lacking something, but you kind of really don't know what it is, the chances are it might be something acidic. Yeah. So having like the lemon flavor in the oil ready to go might be good for that. Like if you make something and it's really not that good, and it kind of needs something, and you can just sprinkle a little bit of that on top, maybe it'll fix it up.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's fat in everything, but acidity cuts down the fat, so it just balances everything beautifully. So a lemon verbena with fat oil is just the perfect combination.
Have you heard of the documentary, or it's a book too? It's called Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat. Yeah, I've seen I've seen the show as well on Netflix. What do you think?
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, it's very well done.
It is, right? Yeah, and she's so nice and like fun too. What is her name? Oh, Samin Nosrat, I think it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can't remember. Yeah.
Yep. It's a really cool show. She goes to, for anyone who hasn't seen it, I think it's on Netflix. But she goes to Italy to learn how to use fats, and then to Mexico to learn how to do acidity, I think. Or maybe she mixes them all together. But either way, it's a cool documentary. She's wandering around Italy and learning how to like harvest the olives for the olive oil, and then in the butcher shop learning how to dice up the meats and stuff, and like it's a really cool show.
Yeah, I really enjoy it too. It is just so easy to watch, and she's lovely actually. Yeah, it's easy to hear and to watch.
Yep. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention. So for anyone who's listening who is trying to decide what to infuse their oils with, this might be an opportunity for you to get like the flavors from higher oxalate ingredients, because you can put some higher oxalate stuff in the oil, and because the oxalates aren't soluble in the oil, then you'll get the flavor without the oxalates. And if if some oxalate does come out, then it's such a small quantity that you'd be using anyway that it would still be a minimal amount, but you could still get the flavor. So from like some of those spices that are not low in oxalate, maybe that would be a good good way to get the flavor from some of them.
Yeah, you use it as a carrier, yeah.
Right. So one of the other articles you have on your site is about pickling vegetables, which I've always wanted to learn how to do. It seems
complicated.
Simple. Yeah, it seems complicated, but it should be simple, and I know I'm missing something. So I would love to learn how to do that also.
So pickling, it's one of the easiest thing anyone can do. It's just to have a formula in mind of how to make your pickling liquid, which is where you're gonna put all your veggies in and let them pickle. So the main ingredients are vinegar, salt, water, and sometimes sugar. If salt it's not quite right for a diet, you can just use straight vinegar, and that will be fine too. So what I usually do is that I do 2/3 vinegar to 1/3 water, and then I just add my salt and my sugar as I feel it like it. So it can be pretty straightforward. The vinegar, again, you don't need something high quality. We don't want any weird one. Just straight white wine vinegar, or even red wine vinegar. That would do. Rice wine vinegar. Everything that's not fancy and that is clear, that would do the job. If you use something like malt vinegar, that will give a bit of color. So if you don't mind that, that's fine too. And
so,
yep.
Go ahead.
So I was just gonna say that you mix your vinegar with your water, you add your salt, your sugar, and then you just cut your vegetables and just put them in the pickling liquid in a sealed container, and you just let them for a couple of days, and then you can start using them, or you can leave them for months, and that's fine too.
And when do we have to be concerned about bacteria growing? Is that only if you leave them longer for like 5 days or a week or so?
The bacteria will grow if you don't sterilize your jar correctly. So before putting everything in that jar, I usually fill a pot with water, put my jar in, let it come to the boil, and then I let it boil for 10 minutes, take it out of the water, and then it dries automatically because it's just it's so hot. And then I put my pickling liquid in, my veggies, and just seal the jar. The vinegar is gonna stop the bacteria from growing in the jar because it's just so high in acidity. Right. That's why we are using it for preserving.
Do you do that too for stuff that you're only going to leave for a couple days, or only for the stuff you're going to leave for a couple months?
I do it for everything. Yeah.
Everything.
Straight vinegar. Yeah. If you don't want to put water in as well, you just put straight vinegar, and that's even more high in acidity, and that will preserve it even longer. But the flavor will be a bit different as well.
Right. Yeah, a little bit stronger.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't even have to heat it up. You can put it all in, just stir it, and cut your veggies, put them in. You can add some spices if you want more flavoring, like peppercorns or bay leaves, cinnamon, everything that's... You just can put everything in, seal it, put it in your cupboard, and you're done.
Cool. All right. Yeah, definitely gonna have to do this. I've been saving, I don't know why, but I'm the kind of person that, like, if I get something in the mail, like I save the box for no reason because I think I'm gonna need it at some point. And I do the same thing with jars from food. If it's like a cool jar, like I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna use this at some point, so maybe I'll just keep it. And I have a bunch laying around that I think it's time to break them out and actually use them.
Yeah, you can do. You can even do your own vinegar, your own fruit vinegar, in your jar, and then you have a sweet fruity vinegar. That would be cool too. Yeah.
Is it the same sort of process?
You just grab your fruit, then you chop it up, and just put them in the vinegar. You heat it up a little bit, it's like we're gonna do for the oil, pretty much. And then you just let it stay for a day or two, and then you strain it, and then your vinegar has all the all the flavors from the fruit you chose. So you have your infused oil, your infused vinegar. There's no boundaries really.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I got so many ideas now.
Yeah, and it's you can do this with any bad fruit maybe or out of season fruits, and you have your own fancy vinegar as well.
Wow, there you go.
Just one thing, for when you ask me about the bacteria, so if you see any bubbles in the jar, so that means that there is a problem. That means it starts fermenting, and that means there is bacteria growing. So the best thing to do is to just throw it out and start again.
Yeah.
So watch out for bubbles.
Yeah, you probably don't want to take any chances with that.
No, bacteria is it's not great.
Yeah.
Especially in what we're living now, but yeah.
Yeah, true. So the most common vegetable that we use here in the States for pickling is cucumbers. I don't know if it's the same.
Oh yeah, cucumbers and carrots. I think carrots as well are pretty common. And then you go artichokes. You go, I don't know, so many, everything.
Yeah. I have a friend that just moved to Ireland, and she said that she can't find pickles anywhere, like regular. Wow. Yeah. Like they just don't have them. I don't know if that was, the same worldwide, like if just American like regular cucumber pickles are like a thing only here, or if it was just not in Ireland, or how that works.
Crazy. No pickles. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I don't know. So what else? You said you use artichokes and carrots.
Yes, carrots, artichokes. Let me have a thing. Everything that's quite firm. You can even do eggplant maybe, but it's just you have to be careful not to make it too vinegary. Obviously, olives can be preserved in vinegar, but carrots, pretty much everything you can find in the supermarket.
Cool. All right. Does that work? So, what's like the minimum amount of time you have to leave it in the vinegar for it to sort of take on the flavor of something pickled?
I'll say a week. A week is a good thing to start with, yeah.
Okay.
And again, depends how firm the vegetable is. Like maybe a cucumber is not as it's a little bit softer than a radish, which radish can be pickled as well. So radish maybe we will need a bit longer than a week. But I usually set a week as a time limit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then for this one, if you wanted to make them spicy, or if you wanted to add a little spice into whatever you're pickling, you use same dried chilies like you do in the oils, or can you do it with the fresh ones too?
Oh, you can do with the fresh one as well, and then you have your pickled fresh chilies, same as the other ones. But I usually do dried chili flakes. They work really well.
How do you incorporate them into your meals? Because here, when I think of pickles, I think of like going to a restaurant for lunch, ordering a burger and French fries, and then getting some like a pickle on the side, or like some sandwiches will have like a couple slices on once in a while, but otherwise I feel like I really don't see them too often anywhere else.
Yeah, pickles it's a tough one because they're so strong. It's more they serve more as a condiment, like so I usually serve them if I make a focaccia, and I just serve it like a platter with the pickles and, some olives and there's a bit of hummus. Or you can put them obviously in every type of sandwiches. But it's also good if you have if you eat like a steak, because it's so rich and fatty. If you add a pickle condiment on the side, it just balances out the fat of the steak. If it makes more sense. It's the same as with the oils, as we said before. Fat, acid is just perfect balance.
So you also have a recipe that you that I wanted to talk about. And whenever I decide to make a beef patty or a burger, I always add salt, and after it's done I just put ketchup on top, and it's super generic and lame. And that's as exciting as it gets. But for this one, you added some spices and a an herb yogurt, which
Yep.
I feel like is such a better choice than ketchup all the time. So tell me about this.
Of this patty. So what I use ground beef, around 100 grams if you're going to do for one portion. It has to be good quality. Like you can't go with the first choice.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just need to be a little bit creative. I use a lot of dry herbs, like dry basil, dry dill, and this will give a lot of flavor in your patty because it can be pretty bland. I also use half a teaspoon of baking powder because it will fluff it up once it starts cooking like a cake. And that's my secret.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then it's actually, a beef is just it can be so bland that you can season it with whatever you have and whatever it's available to you, if it makes more sense.
Mm-hmm. How do you tell the quality of the meat? You said like it's got to be better quality. How can you tell when you're going? Like, do you recommend going to a butcher shop instead of the grocery store, or is there something you can find at the grocery store that would be good enough, I guess?
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not going to my butcher every single time I need to cook meat, and I think that's the reality for most for everyone. I just, when I go to the supermarket, I just check the ingredients. It has to be 100% beef. No, I think nothing else added. I also go for that it's local. Well, here Australian, so I know that it's from here, and it's also the price. If you pay a little bit more, you get a little bit a better quality than the first price.
Right.
So that's important too. I check the fat content. I don't want it to be 60% fat because then you have literally no meat left to it.
Right. Wow, they sell 60% fat ground meat?
No, I just said it randomly.
Okay.
I just said it randomly. Yes, I heard it afterwards, and I'm like, oh, maybe I exaggerated a little bit. But like, yeah, that's
interesting. I was gonna say that I think the fattiest one we have here is 20% usually. That's what I like. It's usually 80-20, and then if you want, you can get like an 85-15 or a 90-10.
Yeah, so for the recipe, I use a 95% less fat. You have a lean meat, and it's good. You can add a bit of olive oil. You can actually use your infused oils to season your meat as well. So that's a good use of them. Maybe you use a little bit of chili oil, some dry herbs, and you just roll them into a patty. I usually pan fry them because you need that extra fat as well if you're using 95% fatless.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I just finish it in the oven if I want it to be very well done. I usually eat my beef rare, so just pan fry both sides gives me exactly what I want. And then you can serve it with a herb yogurt, so you can get it's plain yogurt with the fresh herbs added to it. Again, a bit of seasoning, a bit of olive oil. Again, you can use one of your olive oils to accompany your beef. If you have pickles, use your pickles, on the side. Like maybe pickled cucumber, you can put it in your yogurt. That's interesting too.
True. All right. It's all kind of coming together. That's awesome.
Yeah. See, it's not just random things that we just put in the pantry and hopefully we use them one day. It's things that just take them out and just put them in something and it will be good.
Yeah.
It's experimenting as well.
Yeah. That doesn't happen the first time around. Just kind of, like you said, take whatever and kind of put it together and it'll be good. That's not always true.
Well, it's I think most people are scared, from when I talk with people and they ask me for recipes. I think people are scared to actually go over half a teaspoon or more than a cup. It's especially with savory, you just open your cupboard and just think of salt, fat, acid, and just kind of balance everything out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
if it makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. My parents are both really good cooks. I was really spoiled growing up. I tried to learn how to make some of the stuff that they were making, and I always asked for a recipe, but they never ever followed recipes, and now I don't either. They did exactly what you're talking about. They just open the cabinet and take out whatever's there, and just be like a little bit of this much of that one, and that was it, and it always came out delicious. But I mean, they've had a lot of practice, I guess. So
exactly, yeah. Well, I used to be like that, and then especially once I started working at restaurants, you need a recipe so you are consistent. So especially now with the blog, which is it's recipes that are quite a little bit easier than a restaurant. I try to measure everything, write it down, because people need a guide to go through. You just can't say just chuck things in and hope for the best.
Right.
But yeah, a good recipe is a good start, and then from there, when you get more at ease, it's easier to make good food without following a recipe.
And you said, so you put in the herb yogurt, you put for this one, it's fennel, right?
So yeah, I cut the fennel tops, so just the green part, and then you can use that. You can actually use the white part for pickling. If you're not gonna use it straight away, you can grill it or leave it in the fridge for a later use. So I use just the green part. It's very fragrant. And cucumber, dill, basil, everything that's fresh and nice. It goes really well with the yogurt. You can drizzle some olive oil if you want. And then I accompany mine with potato, but if it's not suitable for this diet, you can actually replace the potato with zucchini. So just grab a zucchini, cut it in half, season, and you can either cook it in the oven or in the pan frying as whole. Cut in half and then just pan fried.
You mentioned something in the post for the recipe. You mentioned that you cook the potato or the zucchini, whatever it is, you can cook it in the same pan as the one that you cook the beef patty in, right?
Exactly, because why wash two pans if you can only wash one? So what I usually do, because when the beef is cooked, it leaves all these juices in the bottom of the pan, and it's good to take those out. This is where all the flavor is. So just put your zucchini in. Drop a couple of drops of water in the pan, and everything will just boil up. It will take all this off the pan, and it will cook your zucchini, and you will still have all the flavor from your beef, if it makes sense.
Yeah. That's one of the few things that I do remember from when I was growing up that my parents would do. My mom would make this steak. She would marinate it in like olive oil, white vinegar, and garlic, I think. And then she would cook it like on super high heat in the pan. It was really thin slices of steak. So she would cook it on high heat in the pan for a minute or two. And then she would take them out before they were done, leave the heat on the pan and let the garlic brown a little bit and like let it almost burn on the pan. And then throw the steaks back in and like push them down and kind of like scrape all the like flavor off the pan with it. And it was delicious.
Yeah, that is how sauce are made, actually. I mean, if you go to a restaurant and you say, oh my God, that's a great sauce. You cook your meat and then bring it up to high heat. And the term is deglaze. So you deglaze it with either wine or just water or a stock. And everything just comes off the pan, and it's where's all the flavor is.
Delicious. I'm getting hungry.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm getting hungry too.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I think this is going to be super helpful for people. It's definitely going to be helpful for me. This is exactly what I'm looking for, and hopefully what other people are looking for too. I'm always trying to find easy ways to add more flavor to what I'm eating and kind of round out meals. And for me, if I have to spend too much time in the kitchen, I won't. So
yeah,
these ideas and this recipe are going to be perfect for me, and I can finally use up some of those jars that I have saved for who knows how
for
long.
something.
Yeah, for something. For this now. I knew they would come in. I knew they would come in handy for something.
10 years later, there you go.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, flavor. I think it's important to food. Otherwise, what's the point? So it's just finding those little tricks here and there to add more flavor and more taste to a dish.
Yeah. So you have the blog Food and Thoughts. We'll put a link in the show notes for everyone. We'll have links for the guide to infusing oils, the guide for pickling vegetables, and then also for the recipe for the beef patty. You can add that to your repertoire in the kitchen, and you can spice it up a little bit more if you're over eating ketchup all the time like I am. And what are you up to now? Where are you working now, and what else are you up to besides the blog here?
So I live in Australia now. I work in a catering company. Well, with all this that's happening, it's been a little bit hard the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But hopefully everything will kick up soon, and then we can go back to work normal.
Yeah.
I write to my blog every week. I try to write about recipes or about food history, or some types of flour, types of flatbreads, stuff like that. That's a bit of fun and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And before the lockdown, I wrote once a week about a restaurant that I like. Not more as a review, more as a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to get back to that as well, because it's been crazy.
Yeah, it definitely has. All right, is there anything else you wanted to like to talk about or mention that we didn't get to?
No, I think I hope I didn't make it very complicated for everyone.
No, it's great.
Just have fun with your food, and just experiment and enjoy. It's pretty much what I have to say about that.
Yeah, cool. All right, thank you, Alex.
Vincent, thank you very much, and hope we chat soon again.
Yes, definitely. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. You can find the show notes for everything we talked about at lowoxalatekitchen.com/podcast. We really hope you enjoyed the show. If you end up infusing your own oils or pickling your own vegetables, or if you give Alex's recipe a try, definitely let us know how it goes. Be sure to follow Alex on Instagram at Alexandra_Cleanthous. Again, it's CLEANTHOUS. If you want to leave a review, again, that would be awesome. If there's anyone you want to see on the show, let me know, and you can send me an email, lowoxalatekitchen@gmail.com. Thank you again so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.